Hey guys, so I actually recorded this yesterday, but somehow I freaking deleted it. I don't know. But I'm actually glad because I watched the AfterBuzz review this morning, and I'm actually happy because now they just gave me a few points to talk about, and I actually wanted to say quite a few more things about the pay-per-view and stuff. And they brought up some good points about evolution and all that as well. And let me just say this. Keep this panel for the AfterBuzz pay-per-views, please. This panel, in my opinion, is the best. Gabby, Evan, and George. Keep them as the AfterBuzz panel for pay-per-views. Keep them, or at least have one of them on there every time, because I feel like one of them brings the reason and all of that. Just keep them, because it's like, not trying to be funny, I like the others, but I feel like sometimes I'm just watching a fucking smart show and I don't need that. I get enough of that shit on Twitter and on the websites that I look at. I don't need to watch a after show that is supposed to be neutral in a way, just bashing everything that's not smart shit. I don't need that. And I feel like this panel is a panel that's for everyone. Smarks, marks, casuals, new people, whatever. This panel is, I feel like, the best panel for this. So keep them, please. As a fan that's been watching AfterBuzz since like 2013, keep them. Keep them for the pay-per-views. And I'm going to talk about what they talked about with the women last because I have a lot to talk about that. And they brought up some great points, especially when it came to my girl, Nikki. Love those three because they spoke real shit. They spoke the shit that a lot of the other AfterBuzzers, I feel like, are either afraid to say or feel like they don't want to seem like, oh, they like anyone that's not a horsewoman or didn't come from NXT. These three aren't afraid to say who they like and who they dislike, and they aren't. So I respect them even more for that shit. But I'm gonna get to that towards the end of the video. Now let's get on with the men's. The first match was on the kickoff show. It was New Day versus Rusev and Aiden for the SmackDown Tag Titles. Big E spears Rusev through the ropes on the floor. Aiden hits a swanton to Big E through the ropes. Aiden kicks out of a double stomp from the top rope by Kofi. Rusev misses a diving headbutt. Aiden puts in the accolade. Kofi hits Trouble in Paradise. New Day retains the tag titles. Good match. Good stuff. Me personally, I enjoy both teams. So I can wait for this. I can wait to see where this goes. Second match of the night, which is the first match on the actual card, is Jeff versus Randy Hell in a Cell match. Jeff throws his body sideways into Randy into the cage. Randy hits a great superplex, even though that spot's been overdone, kind of like the women's triple powerbomb that's been overdone. But I feel like it's been overdone, but if it's executed well, I don't give a fuck, you know? Randy front slams, I should say, Jeff into two ladders. Randy traps Jeff's head in the ladder and kicks the ladders down, so it's like bringing pressure on his neck. Randy puts a screwdriver through his gauge and twists it around and pulls. That was one of the most cringiest things I've ever seen. Like, God, it's like when you watch a scary movie and you're doing this, but then you do this. Like, it's so fucking gross, and it's just like good, but it's like I want to continue because after that, Jeff beat the holy hell out of him. Jeff whipped him with his belt and a steel chair. He's like, "Fuck you!" Hell, messing up my ear and shit. You know how long it took me to get that shit like that. And then if you look at Randy's Instagram, I don't even want to talk about it. But if you look at his Instagram, his back and what the fuck ever happened to his leg? Gruesome, gross. I don't know what the fuck happened to his leg, but just all I gotta say is, for the people that be talking about wrestling is fake, nah, the shit's scripted. These people get hurt. These people get welches. These people get injured. That shit, no. Big up to the people that wrestle, because I could not do that. No, 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 no. I'm a pain girl. I don't mind it, but I'm going to need some practice if I want to be a wrestler doing that bullshit. um, okay. And then Jeff attacks Randy with a chair in his belt. Jeff pulls a chair, puts a chair on Randy's neck, hits a swanton bomb, but Randy kicks out. Jeff swings from the top of the cell and drops onto the table, but Randy moves out the way. Randy wins. Really good match. I know that this match most likely happened because Jeff wanted to have a Hell in a Cell match before he retired. And also, I think it was George brought this up. It's so funny how, despite all the crazy fucking shit that Jeff did in his career, Matt's the one that retired first. And I'm like, you know what? That's so fucking crazy. And it is really weird because considering that Jeff has damn near almost died in all his matches, with the crazy shit he be pulling. Especially him diving from the lighting thing that one year. I just that scared me half to death. But good match. I liked it. Drew and Dolph versus Seth and Dean Raw tag titles. Dean with the drop toe hold to the top rope on Dolph. Seth hits a blockbuster from the top rope on Drew. And if you know how big Drew is, that move is very hard to do regardless. But doing it on a guy like Drew, big ups to Seth. Dean throws Drew into a steel post and throws Dolph into the barricade. Sorry, you guys. Drew hits a belly to back throw into the into the turnbuckle on Dean. Seth does a suicide dive but gets caught. Dean takes out everyone with the suicide dive. Seth kicks out of a zigzag. Drew kicks out of a frog splash by Seth. Seth does a superplex, and while he's about to do his Falcon Arrow, Drew super kicks him, and Dolph retains, and Dolph and Drew retain. In my opinion, this is just me. It was a little slow at first, but it was a really good match, so I'm not too mad at it. Fourth men's match of the night was Joe versus AJ, the WWE Championship. Joe punches AJ's ribs into the announce table through the ropes. AJ does a reverse DDT. Joe kicks out. AJ does a powerbomb, turns into a Boston Crab, then into the STF. AJ gets to the rope. AJ gets a rack bomb on AJ, springboard 450, and AJ kicks out. And Joe kicks out, sorry. Joe gets his clutch in, but AJ rolls into a bridge and pins Joe. AJ retains the WWE Championship. And then they did a playback of AJ actually tapping before the what's his name. And then they did a segment where Joe was irate and shit, and he's like, I want it to be a no DQ, no count out, blah 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 blah. Basically, he wants a stipulation to where there's a distinctive winner, and Paige is like, I agree. So at the Super Show, there might be a stipulation added, so I'm cool with that. Me personally, I like this match equally to their SummerSlam match. I like both of them, but for different reasons, so they're both equal in that way for me. That match was more about AJ just wanting to beat the hell out of Joe, and this match was more about just Joe getting into AJ's head and showing his brutal side. So yeah, but I liked it. It was cool. It's gonna lead into the Super Social, so I'm cool with it. Fifth match of the night for the men, and this is the main event. Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman Universal Championship, and this is a Hell in a Cell match with the special referee Mick Foley. Braun shoulder tackles Roman into the cage. Roman hits a DDT on a chair. Roman bashes steel steps into Braun bashes steel steps into Roman's chest. Running power slam. Roman kicks out. Roman hits a spear through the table. Braun kicks out. Seth and Dean and Drew all come down to try and get in the cage, and they're all end up fighting. All these motherfuckers somehow end up on top of the damn cage. And as soon as Dean gets up there, he got a kendo stick and he's just beating the crap out of everybody. It's just so hilarious. I love Dean. And then Seth and Dolph fall from the side of the cell. So fucking horrendous, especially considering how high that bitch is. Like, holy fuck. Through the announce table, and then Brock returns and enters the Hell in a Cell. Brock F5s Roman onto Braun after he hits both Roman and Braun with table piecing and F5s Braun. And then refs calls for the bell, which basically means no contest. Roman is still Universal Champion, basically. And who knows, maybe this sets up a feud between all three of them. Who knows, but we will definitely see. You know, it's definitely building up for the 6-man tag at the Super Show. We're definitely still, you know, doing that storyline, and I'm cool with it because it's a good storyline in my opinion. So yeah, that was the men's. And I'm gonna start grading the pay-per-view in my opinion, and I'm gonna do my top 3 matches of the pay-per-view. And mind you, this is in no order whatsoever when it comes to the matches. My top 3 matches of this pay-per-view, in all honesty, was probably Randy Orton versus Jeff and the 2 Raw women's matches. I feel like those 3 matches really got me invested. They really made the show for me. Everything else was really good as well, but I feel like those 3 matches got my attention the most. They got me the most invested. They got me the most hype. So yeah. Those were my 3 favorite matches of the night. The best match of the night, for my opinion, was probably Jeff versus Randy, just because, like, you would expect them to do something crazy, and they did it. They exceeded expectations, so that was probably my best match of the night. Again, this is just my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. Just don't be disrespectful, because I will block your ass, and I will cuss you out afterwards. So, and for the pay-per-view as a whole, I'll give it a B, you know. It wasn't too bad to me. Now, let's talk about what happened on AfterBuzz. So, they were talking about, they were talking about Ronda versus Alexa and how they hated Ronda and Alexa match at SummerSlam. Y'all know me. If y'all saw my review for SummerSlam, I didn't mind Ronda and Alexa's match at SummerSlam because I knew that their rematch was going to be something like this, where it was back and forth, and they let Alexa come off as a legit threat to Ronda, whereas SummerSlam, they were proving Ronda's dominance and that Alexa was kind of underestimating her. So yeah. But so y'all know that. But they were talking about how who's gonna face Ronda next, and they were like, you know, Mickey, Nia, and then George was like, you know what, Nikki for Evolution, and everyone was like, oh, that'll be good, that'll draw. And then George was like, he felt like Nikki did as much, if not more, for the Evolution than the 4 Horsewomen and all these other women. And Evan was like, that's true, that's very true, without question. And Gabby looked kind of like weird, but she's like, it's not because of me. She's like, I agree with it. She just don't think that, basically, the ICW, the fucking smarks that act like they know everything, but in the end get trolled by the most simplest ass shit, won't agree with it. And everyone was like, well, they're wrong. Because, like, when you think about how much work she does, not only in the WWE ring when it came to her improvement and all that, but the fact that she was one of the few people that actually brought eyes from Total Divas and Total Bellas into the product. Like, she's one of, like, Total Divas was one of the many reasons why the female audience increased by 40%. And you notice how a lot of those women are Bella fans. They like Nikki and Brie. They like those women. So it's like people love to try to bash Total Divas and try to bash her because she's on that, but they don't realize that that show probably helped move this movement forward in ways that you will never understand. You will never be able to get. And Nikki is a huge part of that. And they were like, Nikki is a person that not only helps with the in-ring stuff and all that, but she's a person that even when she was taking her breaks, still promoted the company, still went to the live shows, still went to the appearances, still was an ambassador. She has a YouTube channel that's a part of WWE. She has 2 reality shows. She was able to, she's one of the highest female merch sellers ever. Um, like she is a person that really did help make this movement happen. And people love to discredit her because of bullshit. But when you look at it, Nikki did just as much, if not more, than the Four Horsewomen and other women. So it's like, give her her credit. You don't have to like her, but stop trying to discredit her when there's no question how much Nikki has affected this whole thing going on right now. Like, not trying to be funny, Nikki and AJ's title reign led into the lead of the women's evolution and the title belt changing and the women being named women and all that. So don't try to do that. And like, all the women from the past and of now have credited the Bellas, Nikki especially, for the women's locker room being more united and being more about everyone as a whole and not just about themselves. So like, give her her credit. Put her stop trying to put your opinion on her as what's actual factual when everything else is the exact opposite. And Evan was right. Bree and Nikki are first ballot Hall of Famers. And even George brought up a great point. He's like, with Nikki, you always knew she was a superstar. Even when she left, or even when she was on her breaks, she always talked about WWE. She always watched the show. She always promoted the show. She always promoted the women. She was always making nice long posts and talking about the women and how they were all growing and being great and all that. And he brought up a good point. You always knew how passionate Nikki was about being a wrestler and being in WWE. If you looked at Eva Marie's Instagram when she was there, you never would have thought that she was a WWE star. That's why when the girls dragged her ass about her being giving special treatment, I was not mad at that because it's like, it's true. Like, bitch, all you did was post about Stretch. You didn't post about being a superstar. When Nikki was injured, we saw her getting back in the gym, working out a week after her neck. She was working out with her fucking neck brace. Like, fuck out of here with that shit that she's not passionate. Nikki has shown how passionate she is. And then you have someone like Eva Marie that, if not for the fact that you watched Total Divas, you would not know that she was a WWE star. You wouldn't. The Bellas have businesses too. They have Birdie B. They have Bella Radici. They have all this shit, but their still home is WWE. And they make sure to tell people that all the fucking time. So it's like the Bellas never forget what helped make them big, what helped gave them a platform. And that's one of the big reasons why I respect them and why I love them. Because so many people have gone to wrestling just to make a big name and leave. And yet the Bellas, despite being big, have stuck around. Even when they're done in ring work, they're going to be ambassadors. They're probably going to be trainers or what the fuck ever. And I respect that. And people really need to realize how much work and how much effort they actually put into the women. Because they do a lot. And I'm not just saying this as a Bella fan either. Multiple women have said this. But they brought up good points. I was so proud. I was so happy to see that they gave Nikki her credit and that, they don't mind the fact that Ronda versus Nikki is happening because, let's be real, they know that Ronda versus Nikki is going to most likely be a good match. They know that it's going to draw in a very big way. And they know that Mickey versus Ronda, Nia versus Ronda can happen at any time. Nikki versus Ronda cannot happen 4 months from now. It has to happen soon. Especially if women's tag titles are rumored and that match card has and that Evolution match card has any legitimacy or truth to it. So you know that this is probably going to be one of Nikki's only shots at the Women's Championship, despite the fact that she only had one shot and that was Backlash. But to the people that try to act like, oh, she's still spotlight, bitch, bye. Because Nikki definitely should have been champion over a few of the people that were champion, if you're going to be really honest. But if this is Nikki's one shot, let her have it. Let her get it. Because after that, Nikki's probably not going to get another championship shot. And Nikki is most likely going to go after the women's tag titles with Brie, which she deserves. And you're lying to yourself if you don't agree. Not even trying to be funny. But yeah, I just like that. And then I just like that they gave her credit and that they weren't bashing the idea and that they weren't trying to make it seem like that's the worst possible thing ever when there's way worse possible scenarios. So yeah, I respect that. So yeah. And then another thing they brought up was Becky versus Charlotte. These are probably the only Becky fans that I like, if I'm going to be really honest. They are not the people that feel like Becky has to win in and every fucking thing on earth. They aren't. They are the person that feels like Becky is the person that is an underdog, but her character is someone that you can relate to and you can see where she's coming from. So her actions might be heelish, but because they're justifiable in a way, people don't consider her a heel. Whereas they did a great way of explaining it, kind of like in a Stone Cold Steve Austin type of way. Whereas people on other websites are just like, oh, she can't be heel because she's Becky. Oh, she can't be heel. And I'm just like, dude, calm down and think with reasoning. If you guys explained your thoughts the way that those three did, I would respect y'all a lot fucking more. But y'all don't. Y'all go on these rants and these tyrants and all this shit, and it makes me mad because it's like, if any other person would do that for their fave, y'all would be pissed off and y'all would be calling them a person that don't know shit about wrestling. But I respect the way that they said it. I respect the way that they explained it. And it actually got me to thinking like, maybe Becky isn't legitimately a heel. Me personally, I do think that she is the heel in the story, but they made me understand why some people may not see her as a heel and why some people may still see her as a Stone Cold type of face instead of the cookie cutter type of face. And I can agree. I can see their point. Me personally, I still think Becky is a heel, but because they explain their logic and their reasoning so well, I can see where they come from, and I can see where the people that are like, oh, Becky isn't a heel in the story are coming from now. Because instead of going on a rant and on a tyrant, they explained it logically and they gave reason. Not trying to be funny, sometimes that's all I fucking ask from people. But I respect that. And I don't think that they realize, and also they kept talking about the Super Show, and I'm like, I don't think that they realize that the Super Show's card is done, and that they might add a couple new things to it, but it's mostly done. I don't think they realize that. But hey, it's whatever. They were probably tired like I was. But yeah, I love that AfterBuzz episode. I definitely want these three to be the AfterBuzz panel when it comes to the pay-per-views from now on. And if not all three of them together, at least have one of them on each one. That would be great. So yeah. And like I said, George made up a good point. You know, Alexa versus Ronda, it gave Alexa a fighting chance. Alexa was a 5-time women's champion. Yeah, her first match, which again I felt like was justifiable with Ronda, showed Ronda's dominance. This, she had more experience with Ronda. She was able to practice with Ronda, and the match ended up being really good. Ronda, again, showed really well. Alexa showed really good. So now that, you know, if they can make the match believable against Alexa, then anybody is possible. So yeah, I was cool with it. I was happy with it. So yeah, great AfterBuzz show, great pay-per-view. I give it a B. So the next one is Super Show. I will Raw's tonight. SmackDown is tomorrow. Then after SmackDown, it's Lord have mercy. It's the Mixed Match Challenge. which I don't know if I'm reviewing yet or not. I still haven't decided. And then on Wednesday it's the Mae Young Classic, and I will, if I do review the Mixed Match Challenge, I'm going to review it with the Mae Young Classic. And then so on Wednesday you might be getting like 2 reviews. You're probably gonna get the Raw and SmackDown review and the Mae Young Classic and the Mixed Match Challenge review. And then I don't watch Total Divas or and then Total Divas returns on Wednesday as well. And then I will probably review Total Divas on Thursday, because like I said, I watch on Hulu. So I watch it like the day after, but I watch like the TL when the show actually airs. But I actually watch the show in full the next day. But yeah. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.